even need a mic. We're going to get started in a few minutes, but I just wanted to kind of welcome everyone to the rally. Let people know what's going on. If you haven't noticed, there's a PowerPoint presentation going on with information and statistics about hate crimes, specifically anti-gay hate crimes, both in Montana and nationally. There's information about legislation in there as well, so take a peek at that. That's going to be running most of the night. We've got pizza. We got some food here. The pizza has been graciously donated by Bigga Pizza. All right, we've got some awesome sponsors. We're going to, on the PowerPoint at some point, all the sponsors are listed. We're going to read the sponsors in a little bit. Soon we'll have silk screening happening around the corner here. So if you brought a t-shirt to be silk screened, you can get that done. We also have t-shirts for sale for $5 if you didn't bring one. What else we got going on? In a couple of minutes, we're going to have filmmakers around the corner through the lounge here, and then to your right, there's some filmmakers set up. We'd like to get people on film talking about hate crimes. Even if you haven't been directly affected by hate crimes, it'd be great to go and lend your voice. If you're shy and you don't want your face on camera, they're happy to also grant you your anonymity. We're going to have everyone sign release forms for that as well. We're hoping to use the documentary either to fight for legislation or just to document hate crimes, since we've learned that hate crimes are not reported as much as they happen. So if everyone could kind of come in here, we're going to get started in about 5 or 10 minutes, so you can kind of make your way slowly. Thanks. Thanks for coming. I also want to let people know that there's petitions to sign in the middle here. Forward Montana has brought petitions to send, being held up by Matt Singer and several other people. Please lend your name. There's also thank you cards to send to Senator Baucus and Tester to thank them for voting for the recent hate crimes legislation that came forward. Hello, 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 hello.
How y'all doing tonight?
Welcome. Woo! We are Missoula. That's right.
How's everybody doing tonight? Hey Mihawk, can you hear me back there? Yeah.
Woo!
Awesome. Well, we'd like to take a moment to introduce ourselves. My name is Josh Peters McBride, and I'm on the board of the Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center here in town.
And my name is Sarah Brown. I'm the editor for Outwards, which is our monthly gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered, intersex, and queer newspaper. So, welcome. You guys are all beautiful. I just want you to know that. I'm psyched that you're here. I'm psyched that you're here to support what we're trying to do. So it's really awesome. Thank you.
Totally. I just want to point a couple things out really quick. There's a sponsorship table back there. Totally, you guys, look at all these sponsors we got to sponsor our event today.
Woo!
That is kick-ass. Give them a round of applause.
That's right. Make sure you remember our sponsors when you're making your Christmas purchases, people.
Heck yeah. Also, another announcement is if you brought a shirt, they're doing silk screening back on that side, the other stage. If you didn't bring a shirt, luckily they have shirts on sale for $5, and the proceeds from that go to the Hate Crime Survivor Relief Fund that we have set up through the Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center. So it goes to a great cause. Go back there and get your shirt silk screened.
And also we're taking donations as well for the Hate Crime Survivors Fund. At the door, Papa Cherry and Tessa are taking money for that. All the proceeds will be held in a trust at the Gay Lesbian Center, which is the main sponsor here, the Western Montana Gay Lesbian Community Center. Let's hear a round of support for the center and all that they do. Yeah, it's awesome. Great. Also want to give a shout out to the Badlander.
Yeah, thank you,
yeah,
the Badlander.
Badlander.
Yeah.
It's great.
So like Sarah said, in just a couple of moments here, the documentary crew back there will be filming hate crime stories or hate crime survivor stories. Or if you know somebody who's been affected by a hate crime or know somebody that's been called fag or dyke in their life and want to get that out and want to share your story, they're doing so back there, back in the lounge back here to the right. And they have petitions for you to sign for that as well.
And if you don't know what you want to say, but you feel like you want to be filmed, we do have a list of questions that the filmmakers can ask. So help kind of get the juices flowing. Get your story out. So please go and use that. That's an awesome service they're donating to us. They're going to have it edited by the end of this week, which is amazing.
Totally.
So,
and also, please make sure to sign the petitions to go to our government legislators for their support. Back there, they have petitions available and everything like that. Let's thank Ford, Montana for getting all these petitions together for us.
Yeah,
to send
Ford,
in.
Montana. Awesome. And I just personally want to thank everyone that has been involved in planning this rally. You guys have been amazing to work with. It's just been great. We've gotten this together in a week and a half.
Totally. Thank you guys all. Thank you, the planning committee, for getting that together. And thank you, the community, for coming out and bringing awareness to these crimes that are happening in our community and for saying, we're not going to put up with it anymore. Thank you.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say a little bit about what We Are Missoula, Speak Up, Stand Out means, just to kind of put it in a little bit of a context for people. We kind of sat around one night and talked about what do we want to say, what do we want sort of like our little pith message to be about what we're doing here tonight. So We Are Missoula means that we're all Missoulians, whether you're queer, whether you're straight, whatever. We're all Missoulians and we don't want hate in our city. We don't want violence. It's okay to disagree. We all aren't going to agree on everything. But don't go out and beat someone up because you don't agree with how they live or who they are, because it's just not cool. And so speak up. That speak up means everyone, queer, straight, allies, whatever. You need to speak up and say no to hate. Stand out is specifically, I think, for all the people that, well, I mean, I just really think visibility is important in this as queer community. I think the more visible we are in the community, the more normal our lives are. We're just normal, everyday people in this community. So the more that we can sort of stand out as queer individuals and stand out as straight allies and say we support our gay neighbors, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So
seriously, thank you guys again. On another note, I'd like to take a moment of silence and remember all of those that have died from hate crimes, whether it's in the state of Montana, whether it's nationally, internationally. So I'd just like to take a moment of silence to honor and respect those individuals who were out and proud. Thank you. And now I'd like to open up our
rally.
Thank you. Open up our rally with a letter in support from Representative Sands. Representative Sands says she's sorry that she couldn't be here. She's out of state for work and can't be with us. As Montana's first out gay legislator and co-founder of Pride with Christine Kaufman, I have worked for 2 decades on creating a safe and affirming Montana for all people, regardless of sexual identity, race, gender, disability, or anything else. I will continue to be a strong voice for all human rights in the Montana legislature and hope to see you all testifying before the 2009 legislature when they finally pass hate crimes legislation and expansion of the Montana Human Rights Act to protect all people from discrimination and violence. Have a great time at the rally. Representative Diane Sands, House District 95.
Woo! All right. So it's my pleasure.
Yeah, absolute pleasure.
Absolute pleasure to introduce you to our first speaker of the night, Mayor John Engen. Here to show support.
is me getting on stage, so I'm not going to do that. We've got another meeting tonight. I first want to congratulate all of you for being here. I can tell you that in my business, thank you very much, in my business, numbers speak, and these are strong numbers this evening. So you owe yourself a round of applause for that effort alone. I also see a great variety of Missoulians here this evening, which is fantastic. And one of the things I heard earlier that I'm going to repeat for you, and I'm going to tell you that the mayor of Missoula believes this with all his heart, is that hate and violence are not Missoula values. And we all have a responsibility to remind ourselves relentlessly that hate and violence are not Missoula values. We have more than 100 folks who work every day to make sure that hate and violence are not in Missoula's vocabulary. The way we accomplish that is by hearing from you. So if there's one message I have for you tonight, it's not only come to this rally and show your strength and show your support and demonstrate that hate and violence aren't Missoula values, but when you experience it, or when your friends experience it, or when your loved ones experience it, you need to let us know. That is the only way we can help. And it doesn't matter whether the incident is big or little. You need to let us know. It's the only way we can help. Please, no matter what, if you feel in any way that you've been victimized, let us know. It's the only way we can help. Got two guys in the back of the room here who are always ready to help, and so am I. And if you don't feel like you're getting the help you need, call my office, because I sometimes answer the phone. And I almost always return your calls. I had an email this week from someone who said, "What are we going to do? What are we going to do?" In all caps. Well, this is a start. And then we talk to each other. And then we enforce our laws. And we change the laws to make them stronger. And we serve each other, because that's what this is all about. So there's another meeting tonight. You're welcome to come down there. This one looks like it may be more fun. And we're not serving beer tonight at City Council, so... Well, there's another law we can look at, I suppose. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you very much for being here, and thank you for all you do in your community. This is remarkable.
So our next speaker of the night is County Commissioner Jean Curtis. She is the chair of the Missoula Board of County Commission. So I'll welcome Jean Curtis.
There you are.
Thank you. This is a great crowd. I get to go join the mayor at our next meeting, which has some good things in it. I think it's great to have so many folks turn out tonight. Several years ago, Missoula County passed the first, by resolution, we added to our county health insurance plan domestic partners. And I think one of the things that'll always stick with me was someone who came and testified at our public hearing. We didn't do it through a public hearing process. We are self-insured and we could do it if we want to. So through a process, though, we did that. But I always remember one person who came who said that their mother always taught them that they should stand up for people who needed a voice. And I think it's important that not just the gay and lesbian community step forward in these rallies, but everyone from our community should do this, because we're all neighbors, we're friends, we're family members, and I agree with Mr. Engen. It's not a value that we should have, that we hold in this county. We shall not tolerate violence, whether it be against the weak, people we think they're different of race, creed, religion, color, stature, gender, sexual orientation. Violence is just not okay here. And last session I worked on, tried to pass some legislation to again reinforce a law that we do have on the books, saying that we shouldn't use the word squaw to describe geographic entities in the state, and yet there are a few counties that haven't changed the names of roads. So the mountain peaks supposedly have been changed, the creeks have been changed, but the roads might still say Squaw Creek Road. And so through that process, I ran across this quote from Martin Luther King that I think applies today. Cowardice asks the question, is it safe? Expediency asks the question, is it politic? But conscience asks the question, is it right? And there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe, nor politic, nor popular, but because conscience tells one it is right. And it is the right time for us to go to the legislature and add this, add language to the hate crime description. I remember sitting in on a committee hearing at the legislature, must have been over 10 years ago, when Christine Kaufman and Diane Sands were talking about this way back then, and it's just darn time we take care of it. So thanks for coming tonight.
So the lights just went out, but we're trying to fix that, just so everyone knows. We're on it. Not sure what happened. Little gremlin. So I also just want to let everyone know that we have MCAT. That's awesome. Thank you. We have MCAT here tonight filming this, so this will be on MCAT at some point, which is great. They're donating their time. So give them a round of applause, please. Woo!
And also, I'd like to give a shout out to all the other media agencies that came down tonight to broadcast this event, whether it's paper, whether it's radio, television. Let's give a round of applause to our media support. Awesome, awesome. Okay. Well, we'll get the lights going here very shortly, I promise. Let's see. But while we do that, I'd like to introduce to the stage Tanya Campbell. Tanya's with the Crime Victim Advocate Program. So, Tanya?
We lost our one light now.
We lost our one, yes.
Sorry.
Hi, I'm Tanya, and some of you know me as Boomer. That's what everybody in the community calls me. I am a lesbian, and I work for the Crime Victim Advocate Program. I am the Senior Criminal Victims Advocate, so I basically advocate for people who are violently injured in our community, and I have worked with a number of the victims that we've seen in our community who have been harmed. I'm supposed to talk to you about crime victims compensation, which is a state fund that actually compensates victims of crime. It's a last resort payee, so if there is nothing else that will help pay for the medical expenses or the psychological counseling, they may. Depends on if you qualify for their services. Second, I would like to plug our program, which, as I said, I'm a court advocate, so I basically advocate for people who go through the criminal justice process as a victim in our court system. Our office also handles people getting orders of protection. So if you are afraid of someone, our office can help you get an order of protection to make it so that that person can't come around you or shouldn't come around you anymore. The other thing that I would like to do, my friend Kirsten LaCroix is here tonight, and she is the assistant county attorney for Missoula. And basically, she wanted me to let you know that her message and the message of the county attorney's office is that they want open communication. Talk to them. We have law enforcement here. Talk to them. I think that the city is really trying to make an effort to deal with the problems that we're facing. This is my community. I grew up here. I'm from here. I've been here all my life. I've been called a dyke on the streets of Missoula. I know what it's like to feel hate from people, and it's sad. It happens, and we can do something about it. Look at us.
That's right, Missoula. Speak up, stand out. Woo! Yeah. Woo!
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Just another reminder, silk screens are back there. Take a little memento home.
Yeah.
$5 if you didn't bring a shirt, or your shirt, a shirt to ride on. Hopefully you brought your shirt, but if you didn't, they're available.
Josh is giving out his shirt later if you want to use it.
I don't know if you want to see that. Awesome.
And
Well-
also, our sponsors are tabling over in the corner there as well. We got the YWCA, NCBI's here. Ford Montana's got stuff. The Human Rights Campaign is here. Well, we have stuff from the Human Rights Campaign. They're not an official sponsor, but...
And also, if you want to donate to the Hate Crime Survivors Fund, Hate Crime... Yeah, I said that right. Hate Crime Survivors Fund. There's a jar at the very front, and I'm sure they're going to start walking it around here any minute. If you could toss $1 in,
Hint, hint.
$2, $5, $1,500, feel free to just put what you can in there because anything is appreciated.
And that money, again, will be held in a trust by the Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center for hate crime survivors.
Exactly. And all costs and everything, or all donations and sponsorships for this event are going directly to that fund. So none of the sponsors are all contributing to the Hate Crime Survivors Fund. So let's all give a huge round of applause to them for doing so.
Yeah. So up next, we have Nancy McCourt, who's going to lead us in a small tidbit of, well, I'll let her tell you what she's going to do.
Nancy McCourt, everybody.
We're going to do a little bit of theater, and maybe some people, everybody thinks the theater is something different. So if one of you will hold this up. Starting point, and this is really a small amount of time to play with theater. So let's just know that when I'm talking about theater, I'm talking about the art of looking at ourselves. Humans have a unique ability to be able to reflect on our own behavior, and we don't just purely act out of instinct. So we can reflect on our own behavior, and that in itself is theater, and that's what we're going to do tonight. Theater is also a place to practice freedom. It's a rehearsal for reality. Theater should be a safe place where we can try new things, try new solutions, and find possibility. And theater is also, and I think this is really important, theater is about images, symbols, and metaphorical ability. Metaphors are symbols that make meaning for us. Metaphors are the stories we tell to impart lessons. And we want to remember that we can be in control of our own metaphors. We don't have to believe the metaphors we see on TV. We don't have to believe the metaphors we hear in music. We are the creators of our own metaphors. We're the creators of our own symbols and images. And that's what this Theater of the Oppressed is about. It's theater taking, it's social action and theater taking charge of people's metaphorical ability, people taking their own responsibility for the types of symbols that we'll accept and listen to, and the types of stories that we want to be associated with. So one thing I hear a bit lacking, and with all due respect to everybody who's speaking and great appreciation to everybody who's here, is we're against hate and we're against violence. What are we for? We need to be able to answer that. We need to be able to create an image of what it is we want, because we won't get it if we don't make an image of what we want. We know what we don't want. So tonight, very briefly, I would like you all to, get rid of any theater angst you may have. I'm really nervous up here on the stage, and you're all down there with each other blending in. So you won't have to come up on the stage. But briefly, think about how mechanical we are every day. You don't think about how you walk, but that's not an unconscious action. That's something that you do deliberately. We become very mechanical in our emotional responses as well as our physical activities throughout the day. We do so much and we think so much and we respond and react to so many things without really consciously thinking about what those responses are. So some of these theater exercises are to help us engage a little more personally and be a little more conscious with what we see, with what we hear, and with what we feel. We want to be more in touch with our senses. Theater of the Oppressed was developed by a man named Augusto Boal in the 60s in Brazil, when there was a lot of political oppression in Brazil. And it was a way to develop social action, to create new laws, to create a more positive, more peaceful community for the people in Brazil. And so what I'd like you to do right now is recognize how mechanical you are as an audience. Most of you have your arms down, you're standing. How come you have to do that as an audience? You're your own metaphor. You can all be like this in the audience, or you can be jumping up and down, and I would like you to look different as an audience now, please. Can you do something different? Can you not be mechanical? Because isn't that what hate is? It's a response out of fear. It's a mechanical response. There you go. You could sit on the floor. Who says you have to stand? Who says you can't stand on the bar? Oh, maybe Aaron does. Oops, sorry. So break out of your mechanisms physically. Walk differently tomorrow. When you leave your house, walk to your car differently and recognize how you go through your day without even thinking about so much of what you do, so much of what you say, and so much of what you hear and interpret. So make a little space around yourself, and I would like each of you to, you don't have to close your eyes, but do what you need to do to get thoughtful. And be thoughtful and think about, what does safety mean? I'm going to go out on a limb. Typically, popular theater is absolutely not me telling you what the story is. It is not about actors telling the story. Popular theater, social action theater, is about you guys coming up with the story. So get into a thoughtful place. Think about, I'm going to tell you what the story is tonight for lack of time, but I think it's community safety. I think that's the story we want to tell, is we want everybody to feel safe in Missoula. Yeah, we don't want hate, we don't want violence, but what we do want is community safety for everybody in our community. Yeah. So think about that. And now you have just become clay, and you are to create a sculpture out of your body of what safety looks like to you. So you're a statue, and you're a symbol, you're a metaphor, you're an image of safety. What does that statue look like? Don't be afraid. Fear is our enemy. I see hands out, I see arms up. I see power, positions of power. I see positions of vulnerability where we can be vulnerable and not be afraid. Okay, now maybe make a little more space if you can and find two people that you don't know, because there's a lot of people here. I bet you can find somebody you don't know in close proximity. And get those two people and introduce yourself, because this is about building community. Interaction. How many of you thought about how you're introducing yourself? How many of you shook hands because that's our metaphor for introducing? How many people were mechanical? One person admits it. Okay, I need your attention again. Woohoo! Okay, now take your 2 new acquaintances, and if there's 2 or 3 or 4, that's okay. Loosely group yourselves. And now, with your group that you've just formed, create a new sculpture of safety. What does safety look like as a group? If you can, look around and see what the sculptures are around you. And think about who's left out of your sculpture. Think about who's included in your sculpture. And think about how flexible your sculpture is for when things change. Now, I could go on all night with these kinds of exercises and hopefully expand our idea of what community safety is and build on that, but time doesn't allow. If you are interested in participating in a community group around social action theater, I'm interested in getting that group started. We have a sign-up sheet by the door, so if you're interested in more Theater of the Oppressed activities, give me your name and email and we'll be in touch. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Nancy McCord. And just to let you know again, if you're interested in social change and want to become a member of Theater of the Oppressed, there is a sign-up sheet back there. Dustin, do you want to raise your hand, wave for me? Just wave. Dustin back there.
Woo,
that's where the sign-up sheet's over by.
Yeah. All right, so that got some blood flowing. All right.
How y'all doing tonight?
Woo!
Y'all can do better than that. How y'all doing tonight? Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So again, the silk screens are back in the back corner over there by the restrooms. Check out our sponsorship tables over there. Totally check out our sponsors. They're awesome. Tell them thank you if you see any of our sponsors here this evening.
That's right.
The video documentary should be going right by now, I believe, in the back. I'm going to assume they are. They're right in the back in the lounge here if you're interested in recording. Know of somebody who's been affected by a hate crime, been affected by one yourself. Totally go back there. Use this opportunity to get it off your chest.
Talk about homophobia. Talk about what you want to see in Montana and Missoula.
I would love to. And just a quick announcement. Members of the Montana Women's Chorus, if you could please meet in this back lounge room here, that would be great. Members of the Montana Women's Chorus, if you could please meet in the back lounge room, that would be awesome.
That's a little teaser. We're going to hear from the Montana Women's Chorus here in a few minutes. But right now, we're going to hear from Senator Dave Wanzenreed. That's right. State Senator from Missoula.
We all say we're opposed to violence. When are we going to start doing something about it? Are we going to start tonight? And are we going to keep working on it? Okay. You know, it's taken 20 years to get to this point, and we've been talking about hate crimes legislation, and despite the efforts of Diane Sands and Christine Kaufman, we haven't been able to pass it. There's lots of good excuses for why we don't have a hate crimes bill, but we're going to change that, and we're going to start the momentum tonight, right? Okay. I got to tell you something. Don't think for a moment that that hate crimes bill and that law is enough to prevent acts of violence. It takes every single person in this room and everybody outside this room working together to make sure that doesn't happen. We need to send people to Helena that don't just vote right, but are willing to be advocates for enacting a law. And it's high time we get it done, don't you think? Now, the ugly reality is it's going to take a lot of hard work to do that. And it's going to take some time. And I want you all to commit yourself to commit acts of peace. I want you to give a hug. I like hugs. Give a hug to that person standing next to you. And when you leave here, find someone else to give a hug to. This rally tonight is a good start. It's just one step. And having a hate crimes law that's going to make a difference is just one more tool that we have to stop violence. The hate crimes laws that we've had, the proposals we've had, would make it a crime to commit violence against a person regardless of sexual orientation, disability, and gender. Wouldn't you want to have a law like that on the books in Montana? We need to send people to Helena that will get that done. A good step tonight is to step out the door and commit acts of random peace. We need to get that done. I'm reminded of the saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And I want you all to take the step when you leave here to ensure that we take a step forward, that we step up, and we stamp out violence. And we're going to start it tonight by having a positive, and that is an act of random hugs. What do you think? One last thing. I want you all to check the people that represent you in the legislature and ask them if they would actually vote for a bill to make it a hate crime to have violence against people with sexual orientation, regardless, gender, and disability. And if the answer is yes, ask them if they'll be an advocate for it and carry the bill and sign on to it. If they don't, find somebody else. You deserve better than that. This community deserves better. This state deserves better, don't you think? And last, I want to make sure before we leave here, Josh has generously offered his shirt. I think we ought to have an auction for it at some point tonight. Don't you agree? Thank you. Peace.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you for coming. So just a couple of announcements again. Please make sure to sign the petitions in the middle that Forward Montana has available. There's holding them in the air right now.
Oh, yeah.
There's one to Representative Denny Rehberg out there asking for his support. So please, 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 please make sure to go and sign on to those.
Okay, so we just want to go ahead and read out the sponsors for tonight's rally.
And if we could hold our applause till the end so we could get through this long, long list, that would be great, which is awesome.
The ACLU of Montana, Amy Johnson, certified massage therapist for Claw's Nail Lounge. The Associated Students of the University of Montana, Joel Baird, Bigga Pizza, Blue Mountain Clinic, The Catalyst, Dr. Charles Couture, the Dean of Students at the University of Montana, Deborah Gladback, Realtor, Portico, Ellie Blue, Good Food Store, Families First and Seasons Bereavement Programs, FedEx Kinko's, Forward Montana, Har Shalom, Hellgate High School, Gay Straight Alliance.
Katie Dickinson, KBGA Radio, 89.9 FM, Jeanette Rankin Peace Center, Lambda Alliance, Laura Dorman with Lambros Realty, Main Street Pilates, Marketplace Media, MCAT, Missoula AIDS Council, Missoula Family Violence Council, Montana Human Rights Network, Montana Women's Chorus, Montana Pride Network, Narrow Pro-Choice Montana, NCBI, National Coalition Building Institute.
Outwards, the voice of Montana's LGBTIQ community, Randy Wood, Assistant Practicum Coordinator for the School of Social Work at the University of Montana, Portico Real Estate, Respect Clubs in the Missoula Middle Schools, Rocky Mountain Buddhist Center, the University of Montana Multicultural Alliance, Subu Design, the UN Law Women's Caucus, University of Montana Multicultural Alliance, University Congregational Church, Unity Church, Word Incorporated, Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center, Women's Voices for the Earth, and the YWCA!
Awesome, awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a huge, huge treat tonight. These ladies are absolutely fabulous. You are going to absolutely love them. So ladies and gentlemen, can you please give it up for the women's chorus?
Woo!
Hello, we are so happy to be here. We have greetings tonight from Judy Fiel from Big Timber, lesbian singer-songwriter, activist, a wonderful Montana treasure. And she has sent along her song called Safe, Strong, and Free, and we'd love to teach it to you right now, along with a sign for it. So let's do a my turn, your turn kind of thing. Safe, strong and free, go. Safe, strong and free, that's how we all should be. That's how we all should be. Safe, strong and free in our lives. Safe, strong and free in our lives. That's so beautiful. Safe, strong and free, that's how we all should be. Safe, strong and free, that's how we all should be. Safe, strong and free in our lives. Safe, strong and free in our lives. And Marie here, and all of us, but especially Marie is a good one to watch for the movements. So, Marie, you want to teach them safe? Safe. Safe. Strong. Strong. And free. That's how we all should be. Safe, strong, and free in our lives. Got it? You'll get it. Here we go. Safe, strong, and free. That's how we all should be. Safe, strong, and free in our lives. Safe, strong, and free. That's how we all should be. Safe, strong, and free in our lives. Rich or poor, young or old, on a city street or a country road, man or woman, boy or girl, we should all feel safe in this old world. Safe, strong, and free, that's how we all should be. Safe, strong, and free in our lives. Safe, strong, and free, that's how we all should be. Safe, strong, and free in our lives. At home or school, work or play, in the middle of the night, in the middle of the day, with strangers, friends, or family, we should all feel safe as safe can be. Safe, strong, and free, secrets that shouldn't be when we are safe and strong and free. So let's work until we understand how to stop all those hurting hearts and hands. Safe, strong, and free, that's how we all should be. Safe, strong, and free in our lives. Safe, strong, and free, that's how we all should be. Safe, strong, and free in our lives. Sing it! Safe, strong, and free, that's how we all should be. Safe, strong, and free in our lives. Safe, strong, and free, that's how we all should be. Safe, strong, and free in our lives. Safe, strong, and free, that's how we all should be. Safe, strong, and free in our lives. Safe, strong, and free, that's how we all should be. Safe, strong, and free in our lives. Thank you. Wonderful.
That must have been yours. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up again for the Missoula Women's Chorus.
Yeah.
Awesome. Safe,
wanna
strong,
give
and free.
I gotta give a little shout out to our friends in drag this evening.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you to our sponsors. Please note their names all over this place. You see our sponsors, please tell them thank you. Tell them thank you for all your hard work in making our community a safer place.
That's right.
Yes, safety. Yes, safety. Do you want me to?
Yeah. Go.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a huge treat. This individual has been fighting for not only LGBT rights in the state of Montana, but for human rights for years. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the director of the Montana Human Rights Network and member of the Montana State Congress, or Senate, excuse me, Senator Christine Kaufman.
Woo!
Thank you. Thank you. I am Christine Kaufman. I am a Montana State Senator. I am the director of the Human Rights Network. I am a lesbian, and I am angry tonight. Are you angry too? Yeah. We have to keep coming time after time and talking about these issues in our communities. It's time for this to stop. It's time for the assault on the gay and lesbian community to be over. The Human Rights Network is trying to step in. Many of you have been members of Pride Incorporated. The organizations have now folded together, and the Human Rights Network is starting an equality project. We hope to use the energy, and we will be contacting the members of Pride Incorporated soon to get your support for the equality project. We will, in essence, be continuing to do what we've tried to do over the years, and that is help communities respond to hate crimes, challenge the bigoted religious right wing in our communities, and to make sure we have safe communities in our state. So there have been, just this calendar year, we have become aware of not only 3 hate crimes here in Missoula. These are all assaults, attacks of some severity, 2 up in the Whitefish Kalispell area, 1 in Billings, and 1 in Miles City. And that's just all in about the last 8 months. And that's just what we heard about. If we're hearing about this many, you know, for every one of those, there's another dozen that we don't hear about. I did notice that I think the sponsors forgot to mention, when they were reading the sponsors, the Missoula Police Department. And that is an important sponsor for you to remember in this community. The Human Rights Network will continue challenging the state legislature. We have had a bill in at least the last 8 sessions. That's over 16 years that we have been trying to add sexual orientation and the last couple times gender identity into the Montana hate crime statute. It hasn't passed yet, and that makes me angry. It really does. I'm tired of it. I really am. It's time for this to change in Montana.
What can we do, Christine?
Thank you. What can you do? Wait, well, I mean, first of all, I'm going to tell you the one thing that none of you will think you need to do, and that is talk to your legislators. Because you all say, well, my legislator is just fine. You need to convince your legislator not just to vote right. As Dave Wanzenreed said, they need to be up there and be advocates. They need to twist arms of other Democrats and the governor and everybody else in this state. They need to twist their arms and expend a little political capital on this issue. There have been a number of other bills in the state legislature to ban discrimination against gays and lesbians, and every time the legislature votes those down, they send the message to everybody out there in Montana that gay and lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered Montanans are less than full citizens. They are second class in their own communities. The legislature is contributing to the kind of atmosphere that allows for these hate crimes to happen, and they need to be told that they are responsible. It's time to stand up and move forward on this issue. Yeah. Now, one of the senators that sits with Senator Wanzenreed on the Senate Judiciary Committee says, time after time, session after session, the same bill comes back. And I went up to him and I said, if you just pass it, it wouldn't come back again. I think it's important for us all to be informed about hate crimes. What is it about hate crimes that draws 200 people to a rally? They are different than other kinds of crimes, and it's important for you to be able to talk about this because there are many, many naysayers out there, even some good-hearted ones that are good on other kinds of issues that saying, we don't need hate crimes law, a crime is crime, murder is murder, assault is assault, you don't need to penalize people for what they think. But so you need to learn how to talk about the difference between hate crimes and other kinds of crimes. The biggest one, of course, is the intent of the perpetrator. They select their target precisely because that person belongs to a group of people that they hate. They do not target an individual because they hate that individual. They probably don't know that individual. They target that person because of what they represent. And they represent all of us, and we need to feel that way. And that is why I think we are here, because we know we are all under assault. I think the other thing that's important to remember that makes a hate crime difference is the harm is more far-reaching. Because it targets a whole group of people, it really is an act of terror. If you can remember your feelings on other kinds of terrorist events where we all were afraid, that is the purpose that the perpetrator is trying to get at. They want everybody to be afraid, and we need to all say no. So the other thing, I think society is especially interested in hate crimes because not only has a crime been committed, but it has been accompanied by bigotry. And both of those are bad things. So it's not just crime. The community certainly has an interest in creating safety for its citizens and stamping out crime. We also have an interest in stamping out bigotry because that perpetrates more and more violence. It divides our communities. There are people out there who say, well, we don't want to penalize people just because they thought something bad when they committed a crime. I mean, there's no penalty in thinking something bad. This is not a penalty for thinking something bad. This is a crime. It's a commission of a crime while you have an additional weapon in your hand, and that weapon is hatred toward a group of people. In our system, motive always matters. We always, I mean, the whole difference between first and second degree murder is motive. Were you thinking about it? Did you plan it ahead of time? So for people who say motive shouldn't matter, of course it matters. We say that all the time in our criminal justice system. Yeah. So why should communities respond? Communities should respond because, first of all, community matters. This is what defines us. What kind of community do we want to have? What kind of community do we want to take part in? Who do we want to be? And because we care about that, it's important to respond to this kinds of events. It's also important to respond because the target, the persons who have been beat up, need to hear from us. No matter whether you know their identity or not, and I think we all need to recognize that everybody has a right to privacy. There are any number of reasons why people may not want to be identified publicly as a victim of a hate crime. You may know who they are, you may not know who they are, but it's important to respect that privacy and important to send the message that you matter in our community. You are one of us. Your difference should not make you a target. And we are going to make sure this stops. We need to send that message. We also need to send a message to the perpetrators and all the would-be perpetrators that are out there to say, this will not be tolerated in our community. We do not condone your activities, and you need to stop. So those are the kind of messages that these sorts of responses say. There's also, we need to have them because there's so much misinformation out there, as I've already talked about, what hate crimes really are and why they are different than other kinds of crimes. I think it sometimes helps to use a different kind of example than an assault. If you think of a lesser crime, it's called graffiti, and someone scrawls 3 words and a symbol on some public building. And that's a crime. I mean, it's defacing public property or public nuisance or something like that. It's a crime. Now, think about those 3 words and symbol. And if it says, Pat loves Chris in a heart, we have one feeling about it. If it says, death to Jews with a swastika, we have a very different feeling. And that is why a hate crime is different. It's the same crime. It's 3 words and a symbol written on a wall. But one of them strikes terror into our communities, and the other one we say, maybe they shouldn't have done it on the wall, you know? But it's a whole different message. Yeah, I didn't mean to be that funny. Okay. So how is it that we should respond? And what you're doing tonight is exactly one of the ways you should respond. And I know some of you are going to say, it's not near enough to come here and come to a rally. What are we going to do tomorrow and tonight and the next few weeks? And we talked some about the legislature, and you need to be there. You need to be supporting the people who go there. I think we should think about some kind of a local ordinance. I know it's a little bit complicated, not sure what locally you can do to enforce hate crimes, but I think there could be some local movement here, and Missoula could be the first city. There are 16 cities. There are 16 cities across the country that have figured out how to have a local ordinance on hate crimes. One of them is Laramie, Wyoming, you might imagine. But I think we should look, you have the support of your commissioners and your police force, and it might be time to take it to the people and say, let's make sure the people of Missoula speak up about this. I think we ought to think about establishing community panels that could educate people, that could go into certain groups and respond and let people know. These same panels could be used in sort of an alternative sentencing kind of thing, where these panels could speak up for victims and help perpetrators understand really what their the impact of their crime has been. And of course, we always need to look personally and close to home, take responsibility for interrupting all those comments that you hear all the time. We hear those kinds of jokes all the time. I want to know, will you pledge right now, next time you hear one of those jokes, you're going to interrupt and embarrass the person who said it. Will you do that? I was asked to, one of the things you can do, of course, is ask your public officials to speak out on this issue. And I have some statements to read here tonight. I did call both U.S. Senators' office and talk to them. I know some of the other organizers did as well, and they have asked me to read their statements. I know that Lauren Caldwell is here from Senator Max Baucus's office, right here. And she'd be happy to talk to any of you further about this issue. And this is the message that Senator Baucus sent. Dear friends, I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, but I applaud your efforts. As Montanans and Americans, we value freedom and individual liberties. We respect those who have differing views, and we know that personal freedom and privacy is paramount. That's why I have supported hate crimes legislation in Congress, and that's why I stand with you today to make sure no Montanan has to live in fear. And Senator John Tester today released the following statement in support of the anti-hate community rally scheduled in Missoula this evening. Quote, in Montana, personal freedom isn't a luxury, it's a God-given right. Here and any place where personal freedom and privacy are sacred, there's no place for violence spurred on by hate and fear. Know that I support legislation making attacks like these hate crimes. I've done it before and I'll do it again. Montanans deserve no less. Montanans see the good in each other. Montanans do good for each other, and Montanans respect each other despite their differences. That's the Montana way. So there is more you can do. You can tell your story, and this is not just for gay and lesbian people. We all have a story that will inform people about these issues, whether we're talking about ourselves, our friends, our family, whether we're going back and talking on the tape there, and I hope some of you do. But I want to know, will you pledge to tell your story to somebody who needs to hear it? Will you? Yes. Will you let your friends and family know that you are a safe place, a welcoming place, and they can count on you? Will you do that? Will you talk to your legislature and tell them to twist arms? Will you write a letter to the editor talking about this incident and the way you want your community to be and behave? So what kind of community do you want Missoula to be? Safe, strong, and free. All right. Will Missoula stand in solidarity with its gay and lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered members? Yes. Will Missoula stand up to the bigots? Yes. Will Missoula tell them that their message is not condoned in Missoula, Montana? Yes. Will Missoula define itself as a place that is safe, strong, and free? Yes. Let's hear it again. Yes. 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 Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up again for Senator Christine Kaufman. How y'all doing tonight?
Yeah!
Yeah? Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give another big shout out to the Badlander for hosting this rally tonight with us.
The Badlander!
Awesome. And just as all the speakers have said, you know, I think it's really important that we get out there and get our word out. And one of the things we have available, and each of you should have been handed one of these when we walked in the door, is these We Are Missoula, Speak Up, Stand Out. What do you call these things? Logo thingamajiggers. But anyway, that's not the point. I know, right?
Hoochimajiggies.
Witchamajiggies. The point is, take these out into your communities. Put these in your windows in your neighborhoods. Put these in the back of your cars. Display these with pride so that everybody knows that we are Missoula. Speak up and stand out.
Woo! Yeah! And I just wanted to remind everyone, too, about the filmmakers in the back. Please go back and visit the filmmakers, answer a question or two about hate crimes, what you feel about hate crimes legislation, how you feel personally about hate crimes, how they've affected you or your family or loved ones. Please add your voice.
Absolutely. And remember, right over in that corner, we have thank yous for Senator Baucus and Senator Tester. Please sign those thank you posters that we'll deliver to them, because they didn't come, but they spoke. And they're in support of us, and they're in support in hate crime legislation. So please sign those thank you cards, send them an email, get in contact with them, and thank them for their work.
So coming up, I want to introduce Melissa Darnell, who's going to read a poem called An Open Letter. Can we get everyone to listen up for a little bit? Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to talk to you. I came from Palm Springs, California, to be here tonight, and it is such an honor and a privilege to see the tremendous community solidarity and support. When I first heard about what happened to Jess, it was just after I had walked as a board member for the National Organization for Women in our Gay Pride Parade in Palm Springs. It's a totally cool event. If you guys are in Palm Springs or have nothing to do next November, please come. I didn't know what to do with my emotions when she described to me what had happened to her. And so I wrote an open letter to her attackers. And I'd like to share that with you tonight. Okay. To the 4 nameless, faceless cowards who, in the safety of your numbers, took it upon yourselves to respond to the kindness of a stranger with your serpent's tongues. Stupid dyke, fucking faggot. And then follow her. She alone. My friend, my comrade, my love. She alone. The one who eats French onion soup without the onions. The one who paints her hair blue to make her nephews laugh. She alone. To the 4 nameless, faceless cowards who, in the safety of your numbers, stopped your car and in a dark parking lot took it upon yourselves to strike her repeatedly. She alone, my friend, my comrade, my love. She alone. The one who worships Cubs baseball. The one who urges the world to be kinder than necessary. She alone. To the 4 nameless, faceless cowards who, in the safety of your numbers, took it upon yourselves to steal her wallet and then drive away. To you I say, your hate, your fear, your bigotry, your violence empowers me, energizes me, encourages me, ignites me, and I am not alone. Love is love, and that is much, much, much stronger than the 4 of you. Yeah, this is Jess.
I wasn't sure if I was going to speak tonight or not, so I didn't really plan anything. I want to thank all of you for coming. When I was attacked that night, I felt really alone. And now I see all of you, and I feel so much support. That night was very scary for me. And as they were kicking me in the back, I was thinking to myself, why? I didn't understand. And I thought, you know, if they only knew me, you know, maybe they wouldn't be doing this. And one of the phone calls I made the next day was to my friend Melissa in California. And she gave me the courage to go to the press and tell my story. And I didn't think I was going to do it at first. It was very scary for me. These women had my wallet, they know where I live, etc. But I'm glad that I did. The last couple weeks I've gone all over this town, and people that I don't even know have thanked me, given me hugs, strangers in the grocery store. And that means a lot to me. I grew up here in Missoula, and I love this town, and I plan on staying in this town. And to see all of you out there right now, that means so much, and I know that there are strength in numbers, and that we can make a change. One thing I would like to say, and I'm not sure how certain people in the crowd are going to feel about this. Like I said, I didn't plan on coming up. When someone is victimized, when something happens to them, they need support. They need to feel that support. And they need to feel like they didn't do something wrong. By telling someone maybe the things you shoulda, coulda, woulda done that night, it only re-victimizes someone. And that's been the hardest part of all of this for me. Don't want to get emotional. Let's say someone is sexually assaulted. We don't say, well, you shouldn't have worn that shirt. Right? When people have said to me, maybe I shouldn't have been walking alone that night. Maybe I should have left when the first comment was made to me in that bathroom.
You should feel safe anyway.
Yes.
Maybe I shouldn't have been downtown. If there's one message that the hardest part about this, you know, the physical wounds are going to go away. I'm in physical therapy, plenty of Lortab. And that's going to heal a lot faster than the emotional wounds. When when something happens to somebody, there isn't anything that justifies someone attacking another person. And they need to feel support and not hear what they maybe did wrong that night. And that's one message that's been the hardest thing for me, and those kind of comments are going to be the hardest thing for me to deal with, and it's going to take a while. I want to thank all of you for coming, and this may come as a shock, but if I got the opportunity to say something to the women that attacked me, I would say thank you. Thank you for making me a stronger person.
introduce Representative Michelle Reinhardt to come up and speak.
First, I want to say thank you to Jess, because we probably wouldn't be here tonight if you hadn't reported what happened to you. And you brought us together to show solidarity and stand with you in your pain. If you want to show solidarity and you want to speak out against people who did this to Jess, you need to show it. You need to wear your conviction and you need to own it. You should have your shirt and you should wear it. You should stick this in your window. You should stick it in your car. You should not be afraid. If we want to have a safer Missoula, and if we want to stop things like this from happening in our community, we have to stand together. And we're doing that all here tonight. But it can't stop tonight, or we won't bring about that change. This is a civil rights battle. It's one thing for hate crimes, but we also need to extend civil rights to everyone in our state. And it's an ideological battle. One of the reasons that the valuable legislation that Christine and Diane keep bringing, one of the reasons it dies is because there are people who do not want us to have the freedom to love the person of our choice, to kiss the person of our choice, to hold the hand of the person of our choice, or just to be who we are. Whether you're a woman, whether you're disabled, whether you're gay, lesbian, transgender, it shouldn't matter. Our community needs to be safe for all of us to walk down the street alone at night. As a woman, I do not feel safe walking the streets alone at night. And I imagine victims of hate crimes do not feel safe walking the streets alone at night. We need to have a community where it's safe for all of our citizens to walk down the streets alone. And that starts with each one of you. And you need to start making change. That starts by showing your solidarity, which you're doing now. It also starts by signing those petitions to people like Rehberg and by replacing people like Rehberg. So you need, I would like to thank Christine Kaufman because she asked me to run. And as a young woman, I did not think I had what it took to do this. But I did, but I didn't believe that. But she helped me get here today. And so you have to shake up the balance of power. You have to shake up the Good Old Boy Network. You have to run. You have to run for city council. You have to run for county commission. And you have to run for Congress, because change starts with you. You have all been wonderful, and you need to continue to do that. You need to continue to show your love and support for Jess. You need to continue to reach out for folks who may not look like you and who may not think like you. You need to be that change that you want to see in the world, as Gandhi said. You need to be that example of love and kindness. And that is how we beat hate, by what we stand for, and that is civil rights. And so I thank you all for coming, and I thank Jess again for being an amazing example. And I just want to thank all of you. But don't let it stop here. Continue so that this doesn't happen again in our town. Missoula is not a town of hate. It is a town of peace. It is a progressive community. And I would like to ask all of the newspapers in our town to print this. To print this, We Are Missoula, so that everyone who wants to show this support, I would like to ask the Missoulian and the Independent to print this so that you can show your solidarity for civil rights. Thank you.
Representative Michelle Reinhardt, thank you again for speaking. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to take a minute to make a couple announcements. I've been up here way too long. Couple reminders. We do have the videos happening in the back. If you could please go back there and record your story. Record if a hate crime happened to you, if it happened to somebody you know, if it happened to your neighbor, your best friend, or your relative, please go back there and share your story. It's one of the only ways that are going to help affect change. Another thing that I really encourage you all to do, besides signing those petitions, is please contact your local legislature and tell them that we need this change in our community. We need to work for equality in our community, and we need to work for basic civil rights in our community. So please contact your local congressmen and women. And also, if you have a moment, please contact Diane Sands and Christine Kaufman and thank them for their hard work in our community and encourage them to continue to fight for our LGBT rights. How y'all doing tonight? Super good? Awesome, awesome. Well, we're going to not close, because we are going to keep going here tonight, and we're going to continue to fight, and we're going to continue to bring awareness through this. Oh, which reminds me, in the back over there is I don't know if we have any left, but there was a schedule of events that are happening on campus, and also contact NCBI. Both the campus and the Missoula chapter have ally building workshops, all sorts of workshops to bring light and awareness and continue the talk about being allies in our community, building allies in our community, and being a safer and more accepting community. So please check out both our campus and Missoula local NCBI chapters for more information on what's going to happen, as well as gaymontana.org. That is the Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center's website. We list all events that are happening in our community, most of which have to do with your basic civil rights, and a place for the community to go. So check out 127 North Higgins on the second floor. Check us out. We're the Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center, the fiscal agent of tonight's events. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce to the stage the founder and director of Missoula's chapter of National Coalition Building Institute, ladies and gentlemen, Ami Thurber.
I want to be brief because you've all been so patient, but I really want to direct my comments to the straight people that are here. So where are you? Show of hands. I want you to move. If you're straight, at least for all practical purposes today, straight, move closer to the center, please. Move, move, move. It's important to me that those who are here who are straight actually put themselves in the center today, because that's where you need to be if we're going to make the change we want it to see happen. Even here, straight people far outnumber the number of queer people who are here, and straight people need to be much more out than we've ever been if we're going to end the kind of violence in our community. And there's so many things I think that hold us back, and I don't want to talk about all of them, but I want to just say something about numbness and the way that we can check out because this isn't our struggle and we don't feel it on a daily level. And we have to figure out how to combat that numbness. There was a study done about righteous Gentiles. Have you heard that term before? Righteous Gentiles were the Gentiles that put their lives, their security, their families on the line to protect Jews. And when they looked at what was the distinguishing feature among those people, the most distinguishing feature is that they had not numbed out the pain of what was happening. And we have to have the ability to combat the numbness that has us forgetting about this the second we walk out the door. I don't want us to forget about it tonight or tomorrow or next week. This has to be central in our lives if we're gonna make the kind of changes we've been talking about today. I also want to just say that I think it's completely possible to do what we're talking about doing, and that legislative action is critical, but it's really a small piece of what needs to happen. There are so many significant and profound changes that we can make. How many people saw Jerry Sanders, the mayor of San Diego, recently? He had a run for mayor on a platform of saying he was against gay marriage. He was for civil unions. And the night that the city council resolution to support gay marriage arrived on his desk, he had been planning on vetoing it, and he changed his mind that night. And he gave a public statement about why he was changing his mind. He talked about being a father of a lesbian daughter, about the gay and lesbian people on his staff, and said he would not be able to look them in the eye and say that they had, that their lives were any less meaningful. It will take people making public statements, more public officials making those kind of statements, but it will also take us making them in our daily lives. And we can make huge changes. I have a friend here, Gaunu, over here, who during the last presidential election, and there was the ban on gay marriage, her 10-year-old brother changed their mother's vote on that ban. And he changed it in one conversation, and he talked to her about her experience of being treated as a second-class citizen, as a Hmong person in Missoula, and she was able to make that connection, and it changed her vote in one conversation. I got to be privy to a conversation with my twin daughters in the back seat, talking to a little friend of theirs, and she said, well, babies come from mothers and fathers, and they said, no, they don't. You can have two mamas, you can have two papas, you can adopt babies. There's a surrogate thing. They can change people's minds. We have much more power than we realize we have. When I was thinking about the attackers in these two recent cases, they're not like radical extremist right-wing cult people. They're people well within our sphere of influence. They're probably UM students, other young people, Missoula Grizz fans, people that we're in class with, that we're neighbors with, that we work with. They're well within our sphere of influence. And we have to have this conversation all the time. If we're talking about it all the time, we will make the change that we need to make. So I just encourage you to not underestimate your significance, to not give in to the hopelessness and helplessness, and really remember your power. Thank you.
Ami Thurber, everybody, NCDI Missoula. Awesome. Really quickly again, you guys, I'd like to give a huge, huge shout out to Diane Sands, Mayor Ingen, Jean Curtis, Tanya Campbell, Nancy McCourt, Dave Wanson-Reed, the Missoula Women's Chorus, Senator Christine Kaufman, Melissa and Jess, Michelle Reinhardt, and Ami Thurber for coming out, lending their voice and working towards a more equal LGBT society here in Missoula. Thank you guys so much for all your help.
I also want to personally thank Susie. I don't know where she is. I can't see her anymore, but
Susie raise your hand.
Has done an amazing amount of work on the graphics, on the posters. She's just a personal hero.
All these posters and all the marketing for this was done by Subu Designs, so check them out. Susie's amazing, amazing. If you need work done, I'm sure she is your gal to go to.
She's also the design editor for Outward, so.
Totally. You guys, I'd like to again thank the planning committee for this rally. They busted their butts to get this done within a week and a half. That is awesome, an awesome turnout. So thank you to the planning committee.
Yeah, and stick around for our DJ.
Thank you to the Badlander, you guys. Thanks so much for the Badlander for helping us hold this. And remember, you guys, one more thing. Remember that this conversation does not end tonight. We need to get out and continue this conversation. We need to get out and continue to talk about the fact that we are Missoulians, that we are going to stand up and we are going to stand out. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. You guys, thank you so much for coming. Check out the Western Montana Gay and Lesbian Community Center for more information of events to come, and stick around to the Badlander tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So let's work until we understand how to stop all